partnership with God. Welcome to Active Faith. Partnership with God is something we often don't think about. Either we are thinking about God being this mighty spirit, or we are thinking that we are capable of achieving anything apart from God on our own. So usually we are dancing between those two extremes. Sometimes each individual person might be able to achieve these extremes, or sometimes we get stuck on one extreme, uh, thinking that God is so mightyful and God is so mighty that He will do anything and everything in His power, and He will come to our rescue no matter what we do and no matter who we are, simply because we are His creation. And that is perfectly correct. Or we might think that we are invisible to God and God is in His glory. We are sinners, and how can I be in partnership with God? He is at another level, and He is the one who is demanding things of me. So there are a lot of, there are a lot of different ways of thinking about our relationship with God. We know for sure we have been created for a relationship with God. That's one of the main reasons for God to create mankind, so that God could have this relationship with us. So that's why we are talking about this active faith constantly, simply because activating our faith, the right way of thinking, is definitely the way to get close to God and to understand exactly how He wants us to behave in any and every situation. So, in perfect life, there's a balance. So just like anything else we do in life, there's a balance. Our relationship with God has balance also. At least we should have balance in our relationship with God. What do I mean balance? That the balance would be, yes, He is Almighty God and He will come to our rescue. All we have to do is ask. But also we have our part. So there is God's part and our part. What is God's part and what is our part is sometimes in people's minds is not as clear as it should be. So how could we say that we are in partnership with God? Simply because that the partnership is, it shouldn't be 50-50. The partnership with God is that He is Almighty God, that He will come to our rescue anytime we ask, but we have to obey His commandments. We have to be in His will in order to achieve, in order to reap the benefits of that relationship. So there are a lot of things are asked of us relationship-wise. One of them would be whoever was to follow me must deny himself and pick up his cross and then follow me. So there are 3 steps in that the commandment that we are hearing from God. So once we understand the seriousness of what is being asked of us, then it is much easier for us to fulfill our part. So, for example, when we go to the creation, the Genesis, in Genesis 2, what we're seeing is that Adam is naming all the livestock. All the animals are being created by God, but for some reason, God, instead of naming each animal, he brings all the animals to Adam, so that Adam, whatever he calls the name of those animals, those are the names that we are repeating thousands of years later. So Adam basically names all of the animals. So my point on this one is this: the part of God, God is creator, so he created the animals, but the part of mankind was to name. So we had obligation to fulfill, so that we could be in partnership with God. There are a lot of stories, in the Bible. The other one is coming to my mind is when Moses, it's the dead end, sort of speak, at the with this magnitude of people following him uh, to go to Promised Land at the Red Sea. Basically, God shows up, and God is the one who is parting the sea. But what is Moses' part is to hold up the stick. Once the stick was up, then the sea parted. So there was God's divineness and man's the willingness to obey what he knows that is the will of God. And all of a sudden, miracles start to happen. So basically, to make the long story short, is, we have to understand, if you want to have this amazing relationship with God, this out of this world kind of experience with God, is that we need to understand his portion is the divine portion, and our portion is to fulfill his divineness, fulfill his desires for our lives. So once we achieve all of that, basically sky is the limit. All of a sudden, not only we are following our leader, but we are obeying all of his commandments, and we are fulfilling all of his desires for us. So all of a sudden, we start to understand, wow, this is an amazing relationship, that there is no fear. Yes, there is fear, but no, there is no fear. There is expectations on his part, and the willingness on our part to deliver. Just like a lot of the relationships that we have in this world, basically, it is coming down to understanding each other and going forward, fulfilling, as he's fulfilling our needs, we are fulfilling his need. Not that he needs us, but he wants us. That's the love that we are talking about when we are talking about this amazing life. And thank you, and be blessed.